Teresa Halbach, SAKI kick grant
Shalom unto
funding,
you.
MLBN
Part
FL,
21.
and Andy Hale making a murderer.
Today's video will be discussing the SAKI grant funding, how I discovered that, what documents I have on that, and what the purpose of me trying to track this government grant money was about. So the SAKI grant was a sex assault kit initiative. Basically, a group of women got together. I shouldn't say women, a group of individuals got together and recognized that there were a large amount of kits being held by hospitals, sheriffs, police departments, these emergency agencies, and they were just sitting on the shelf because the claim was there was no funding available to have these kits submitted for testing. And so when I've mentioned briefly, thanks to the detective in the Green Bay Greg Allen case, we have evidence that he worked for Osmose, or I may be saying it wrong, OSMOSE, which was an employer that had him traveling a large portion of the United States, and we have a documented history of him targeting and committing assaults on women. And so my thought process was, I will contact these agencies and request any data that they have, because the Uniform Crime Report is a portal, also federally funded, which is supposed to help us track, us the citizens, track crime data in individual cities, states, counties, and all that. And some of these UCR data goes back to the 50s. I remember finding a couple counties in Georgia where they would post data from the 50s. Now, some others, on the other hand, don't go back very far at all. I don't think Wisconsin started complying until like 2016 at their website, because if you accept this money, you are required funding. You being the state agency who accepts the money, and then each county or city will then apply for funds underneath that federal umbrella that is allocated to the state. If I'm not getting it quite right, I haven't really looked at the model in a few years, so this is from memory. But basically, the federal government gave Wisconsin an obscene amount of money, and that money was to help them with these untested sex assault kits. There was a video, I think we did a podcast on this, on my podcast with Foul Play, either an open mic or maybe under the Crime Theory Exchange one. But the purpose was to test these kits. But in many, many, many instances, they took the money and they spent it. But the numbers just, the math ain't mathin', right? Like, I think there was an article published maybe by John Farrak in the Patch in Wisconsin. Somebody did a piece on it where it said they tested 100, identified like 18, tried to, brought 5 to trial and got a conviction in 3, maybe, or 2. So it's just another way to, as my daughter says, bleed the beast, take our money and do whatever it is they do, because it surely isn't locking up violent offenders or educating the public or trying to stop these criminals from continuing to grow in their. So the UCR, uniform, I think it's Uniform Crime Reporting, was another thing. They took all this money to get their software or their computer systems up to date so that they would be able to interact with the federal government on cases. And I don't even know if that ever even happened. And Wisconsin is the one state that I focused on, but I have a feeling you could probably add Illinois and Minnesota and all those states right around there, because they seem to be birds of a feather that flock together. But that's a theory, and you know, at this point, but the evidence is definitely circumstantial that they're all hiding a bunch of secrets that are likely intertwined. But they were very slow. They were quick to take the money, but very slow to adhere to the requirements that they had to meet in order to not get in trouble for taking the money. So, and I think this may have something to do with a lot of this pushback Donald Trump is getting, because some of these secrets go back 50, 60 years. I just got a case file for the Starved Rock murders. A gentleman, and that was the murder of 3 Chicago socialites in 1960. And I haven't gotten the complete file yet, but the first 50 pages contain DNA testing. And it's very clear from that DNA testing that Chester Weger, the man who did 60 years in prison for this crime, wasn't the defendant. Now, I did do some research online, and it looks like Mark Wahlberg's doing a documentary on this or something, or playing in a movie about this. But there's definitely more to that story, because a gun wasn't used. The amount of violence inflicted upon these women's body was horrific. And personally, for me, one man's not going to outmaneuver me and 2 other women that I'm associating with. I'm going to give as good as I get, right? And if you don't have a gun, I mean, even if you... I've had a gun pointed at me once, and I tried to take it from the person who pointed it at me. So, and I understand not everybody's mind works like mine, and that's probably a blessing if we're going to be real. But, like, that case is just bizarre. And the reason that case even came across my radar is because Andy Hale stuck his nose in it. And Andy Hale just keeps sticking his nose in places where he's not doing anything good for the people who he claims he's trying to help. Because, you know, he rebranded himself as a wrongful conviction attorney. But yet he made his millions suing people and defending corrupt cops, or cops charged with crimes. So the math ain't mathing there either. Another interesting thing is this whole Wisconsin angle with football. And now we got Andy Hale, and his daddy played Major League Baseball? Huh. That's interesting, isn't it? So, anyway, I'll put up some receipts, and we'll see. I tweeted about this and tagged Elon Musk and Judge Jeannie Perot about the SAKI stuff, because a Doge thing should definitely be done on that. So, have a blessed day.